Southeast Asian art is presented by Geringer Art. This program features examples of 19th and 20th century paintings from the Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. In each of these nations, the influence of European culture, as it fused with Asian artistic traditions, helped to create original and striking new works of art. By the middle of the 19th century, native Philippine artists, many of them trained in Europe, began to practice the art of oil painting. A new social class, the ilustrados, demonstrated that they could equal Europeans in their practice of art and culture. This picture of a Filipina in native costume was made by Fabian de la Rosa. De la Rosa attended the Academy Julian in Paris and was the cousin of Philippine master Fernando Amorsolo. He was one of the first faculty members of the Philippine School of Fine Arts. The most famous of all Philippine painters, Fernando Amorsolo, left behind nearly 10,000 works at his death. Trained both in Europe and the United States, his paintings captured Philippine rural life in a style influenced by European Impressionism. This vivid painting of a man holding his pet rooster shows the respect that Amorsolo gave to the subjects of his genre paintings. Amorsolo was also a master of the female nude. Amorsolo was very influential, and a whole generation of painters, including Teodoro Buenaventura, carried on his artistic traditions. This work by Anita Magsaysay Ho shows the influence of European Cubism. Magsaysay Ho was one of the 13 Moderns, a group formed by Victorio Edades. Romeo Tabuena, who now lives in Mexico, was known for the vivid brushwork and bold color that he brought to the Amorsolo tradition. This delightful Tabuena canvas of a woman sifting rice features highly stylized forms and contrasts between warm and cool. Fernando Zobel de Ayala was the son of a prominent Philippine family. He attended Harvard University after World War II, where he was exposed to both American and European modern art. This black and white Zobel abstraction was executed with a hypodermic syringe. After spraying the paint onto the canvas, Zobel used a soft brush to create the effect of movement. The Fine Arts College of Indochina, established by the French colonial government, operated between 1925 and 1945. The school introduced Western oil painting techniques to a new generation of Vietnamese artists. Among the influential artists of this era, Le Faux and Vu Cao Dam made works that fused Western and Asian influences. The paintings of Le Faux show the influence of French modern masters, including Matisse and Bonnard. They also display vivid, flowing brushwork that comes from Asian traditions. Many of Le Faux's late works feature vivid florals in brilliant colors, often accompanied by female figures. Vu Cao Dam's paintings on silk show the influence of ancient Chinese art. In 1949, he moved to the south of France, where he became a friend of Marc Chagall, and his late paintings show the influence of Chagall's soft, lyrical brushwork. This energetic canvas of a cockfight shows Vu Cao Dam's mastery of the Western technique of palette knife painting. In the era after World War I, an artist group founded by the Dutch artist Rudolf Bonnet called Pitamaha organized exhibitions in Java and outside Indonesia. For the very first time, individual indigenous artists came to be trained and recognized, and they came to sign their own paintings. After the war, the Ubud group carried on the traditions of Peter Maha, and artists such as Afandi, Ari Smit, and Antonio Maria Blanco created paintings of great vitality. The artist Afandi, a native of Java, went through an artistic breakthrough in the 1950s when he began to squeeze paint directly from the tube. The resulting style has an affinity with the works of Vincent van Gogh and is distinctly expressionistic. Born in Manila to Spanish parents, Antonio Maria Blanco was a dashing artist who moved to Bali in 1952. His home in Ubud is now a museum of his works. Jean Lemeyer was the son of a painter linked to Belgian nobility. He made his first trip to Bali in 1932 and eventually married a dancer named Nee Pollock. After their marriage and during World War II, he worked continuously, often painting on rice sackcloth. After the war, his reputation grew steadily until his death in 1958. After his wife's death in 1985, his home and gardens were opened as a public museum. This painting is by Dua Putu Bedil, a painter who was trained by the Dutch artist Rudolf Bonnet as an early member of the Peter Maha group. Roland Strasser, an Austrian painter of Basque descent, was born in Vienna in 1895. He first arrived in Java in 1920, where he met Willem Duyaard, a Dutch artist. A lifelong traveler, Strasser traveled in Tibet, Thailand, China, Japan, and North Africa, eventually returning to Bali, where he painted extensively between 1934 and 1944. Geringer Art pays the highest possible prices for fine Southeast Asian paintings. Please contact us if you have works of art by the artists featured in this video or other fine examples of Southeast Asian painting. You can email us at geringerart@yahoo.com.